Hello, and welcome to Formula Building. Here, we're going to take a look at nesting functions and the order. Now, while you nest functions, the order does matter. We looked at this in the first one, looking directly at nesting functions, but now we're going to actually look at some of the actual functions and how that'll work. So here, for example, we have upper, lower, and proper. Now, this is formula text, and that just shows what this is. So this one here is upper, B2, and you can see it's all in uppercase. Lower is in B2, which is this cell, and it's lowercase. Here, this is proper. Now, we looked at it at the last, but what do you think? If you did an upper, lower, proper of this cell here, what would the text show? Would it be in uppercase, lowercase, or proper? Now, if you click into the cell, if you're following along, and then you remove this apostrophe, then push enter, you'll get the result. The result is uppercase. Now, what's going on is proper happens first, so then it goes into proper case. If you highlight that specific part, so that specific function, you can see what the result is. Then it goes into lowercase. Finally, at the end, all of it is in uppercase, which is the result that we see. Now, it doesn't make sense ever to use it in this setting, but this just helps to show the order. So the leftmost or outermost will be the last calculated. Next, let's take a look at this ordering. Now, in these ones, they're all with single values, which was B2, and that was the only syntax to it. So now we're going to take a look at a couple things here and see what happens. So in concatenate, we have this statement of we are learning about, and then B2, which is nesting functions. So if you have the concatenate inside and then up or out, the entire concatenation, so we are learning about nesting functions, will then be uppercase. Next, if we switch those and say concatenate the upper we are learning about, and then have B2, the only part is this we are learning about. That'll be uppercase, because the upper goes up to this spot right here, which is the we are learning about, and not this cell reference. Next, if we do concatenate, we're learning about in, whatever, it has W capitalized and that's it. Then nested functions, that's going to be what is capital because that is in uppercase here. Now, order can make or break what you're trying to do. So it really depends. What are you trying to do with your formula? Also, if you don't have the correct syntax, there might be an error. In this case, we said concatenate upper, all of this stuff, and then end it. And upper expects one argument, but got the two, because upper, all of this, and then there's a comma, and then B2. And so that actually causes an error. So order makes or breaks. So you have to know the order and determine with the parenthesis what can or cannot be there. And it can break your formula. Finally, let's take a look at this one here, and it gets a little bit more advanced. So I'm going to click into here so we can actually see the formula. You can still, of course, see the formula in the formula text here. But what's going on here is finding an email. So normally what we've done is we've actually just had the entire full name and then looked for the full name. But you can actually use nested functions to do the concatenate, which is showing the full name, and using that as the search key. Because the result of the concatenate of J5 and K5 is the Nick Russell, along with that extra space that we have, will make the search result a full name, the Nick Russell. It searches for the Nick Russell, and it searches in M, and the end result will be this email, if it's found. And so that is a great example of a way that you might want to actually use this. Now, here we can see there's a concatenate and lookup. So this is text that we have, and we're trying to find the full name based off of this. Notice here that the concatenate is outside of it. So what's going on is the XLOOKUP is looking for a search key, and while this used to be the first name and then a space and then that, it actually is saying the search key is the first name, Faith, and then the lookup range is, well, nothing, and then the result range is the last name, and then there's this range here for the missing value, which is an optional, and then match mode. And if you haven't seen that, all of these, that is not how XLOOKUP works. So it worked in this first one where the actual concatenate was with those values. But here, it had the incorrect amount, and the values that it was using just didn't even make sense. So it came up with an error. Sometimes it might just have nothing. So again, it's important for whatever functions you're using that you know what the syntax is. It really helps to click into it as well to see what's going on with each one. And sometimes it might be a matter of you forgot a parentheses, or you have too many parentheses, or they're just in the wrong spot. So taking your time is the best thing to do. So just make sure that you know what you are trying to achieve before, then you can use it. So in this case, you can think of this as, well, we have the first name and the last name, so I want to make one the full name, which we know how to do with concatenate. Then we want to use that result as our search key. So again, when you take it one step at a time or one function at a time, that breaks these up and is very, very helpful. Also, sometimes what people may do is they might just do it in parts. So you could say here, I want this. I'm just going to copy it and put it down here. Paste. Oops, and you need the equal. And then here, you could use the XLOOKUP. So I'm just going to copy the entire thing. Click in here, paste. And instead of the concatenate here, just use this as the reference. And so while this isn't a nested function, you get the same result as you do up here. And all that you need to do if you wanted to truly make it a nested function is to copy that, and then instead of using that cell reference, use that instead. That's just a little trick if it's a little bit complicated or just a little bit tough to get the exact formula. Sometimes just having each function or formula that you want in its own cell can help while you build more complex ones, and then you can combine them once when you have it working. It also can help if there are errors to know what exactly is causing the error. Hopefully this helps. Again, ordering and making nested functions is a big part in going from kind of just basic functions into creating complex formulas. So take your time, and remember, just do it one step at a time, one task separately, and you'll get there. The next one, we'll take a look at array versus single cell functions and learning how to use those, especially while nesting. So see you in the next one.